The Russian Ministry of Defense announced that a military convoy belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces was completely destroyed at a strategic crossing point on the Dnieper River as a result of a coordinated operation by Russian aviation and artillery units. The operation, described as a military cleansing operation, began at around 3 a.m. local time last night and continued for 2 hours. The Dnieper Bridge and its surrounding area were almost completely dark. Russian Orlan-10 and Lancet kamikaze drones had been conducting reconnaissance flights in the area for days. Intelligence had detected that a mechanized unit from Ukraine's 25th Air Assault Brigade was planning to cross the bridge under cover of night to reinforce the Kherson region on the western bank. Tension was high in the Russian positions on the eastern bank of the bridge. Every soldier waited for the command to come through their headset. At 3 a.m., a drone operator announced, "Contact! Movement at the bridge entrance. Vehicle headlights partially disabled. The first vehicle is coming onto the bridge." The operation began. The footage was being transmitted live to headquarters. The convoy consisted of more than 20 vehicles, including ZSU-23-4 Shilka anti-aircraft guns, ammunition trucks, and several M113 armored personnel carriers. The entire convoy was expected to enter the bridge and be trapped. This was a classic application of Russia's fire pocket tactic. When about half the convoy reached the middle of the bridge, a Russian Special Forces sniper team conducted final checks with night vision scopes. The aim was to confirm the convoy's command vehicle. The drone footage showed a pickup truck in the middle of the convoy emitting continuous radio traffic. The footage confirmed the target. Krasnopol laser-guided missiles attached to Russian artillery batteries positioned 20 kilometers behind the front line received coordinates. Simultaneously, two Su-35S fighter jets, which had taken off from Crimea and were patrolling the region, deployed to their positions to establish air superiority. Zarya, Bastion Yastreb. Confirmation for artillery fire. Repeat, confirmation for artillery fire. Following this clear and cold message over the radio, the sky suddenly lit up. The first Krasnopol shell struck the western entrance of the bridge, cutting off the convoy's retreat. Concrete and steel fragments were hurled skyward. The second and third shells then struck the center of the convoy, right in the area where the command vehicle was located. The shockwave was felt for kilometers. Even at night, the Krasnopol shells, capable of millimeter accuracy, destroyed the targets one by one. Struggling to survive the chaos created by the artillery fire, Ukrainian soldiers also found themselves targeted by kamikaze drones. The Lancet drones, flying low, began picking off the vehicles that had not been damaged by the artillery fire, one by one. The footage clearly showed a Lancet dive landing on a fleeing ZSU Shilka anti-aircraft vehicle, turning it into a fireball. The footage was later released to the public by the Russian Ministry of Defense. The most dramatic and decisive moment of the operation occurred at 3:25 local time. Two missiles, launched from Russia's 9K-720 Iskander surface-to-surface ballistic missile system, set off for the bridge. The missiles targeted the central arch and eastern exit of the bridge, which had been previously identified by UAVs and snipers. The Iskander missiles reached their targets within seconds. The first missile struck the central arch of the bridge, dealing a fatal blow to the structure already damaged by artillery fire. The second missile created a pile of debris that completely blocked the eastern exit. Each hit completely destroyed any hope of any surviving vehicle in the convoy leaving the bridge. The convoy, now a target with no escape, encountered a second wave of artillery fire. A wider area fire plan was implemented using cluster munitions. The aim was to neutralize any exposed personnel. A soldier on the Russian side reported over the radio, "The target is fully illuminated. All access roads are closed. Destruction is ongoing." After approximately an hour of intense fighting, the sounds of fire and explosions on and around the bridge gave way to an eerie silence. Only the crackle of burning vehicles and the roar of the Dnieper's waves could be heard. Drone footage confirmed the presence of dozens of completely destroyed vehicle wrecks and ammunition debris on both banks and above the bridge. Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Konashenkov said in a press statement this morning, Russian armed forces conducted a high-precision operation at a crossing point on the Dnieper River, destroying military equipment and personnel belonging to the Ukrainian regime. The operation once again demonstrated Russia's technical superiority on the front line. The synchronized use of the UAV artillery missile trio revolutionized traditional artillery doctrines. Ukrainian forces' strategy of using crossing points like these proved vulnerable to Russia's sniper intelligence and electronic warfare capabilities. Such a loss would have a serious impact on logistics and morale on Ukraine's Kherson front. The bridge's unusability would further hinder Ukraine's ability to resupply its troops east of the river. Russia presents this success as a demonstration of its commitment to the objectives of the special military operation and its will to eliminate any threat to it. The operation is also notable for demonstrating Russia's capabilities in the F2T2EA chain. It demonstrates once again that modern warfare is not limited to frontline clashes, but also to the critical importance of technology, intelligence, and timing. The Russian Ministry of Defense's successful operation at the Dnieper Bridge was more than just a tactical victory. It demonstrated to the world the success of Russia's military doctrine implemented across the entire front line and its technological superiority in modern warfare. Immediately following the operation, Russian intelligence units launched a comprehensive damage assessment in the region. Data obtained from unmanned aerial vehicles and reconnaissance satellites revealed that Ukrainian forces had not only lost military equipment, but also some of their most experienced soldiers in the region. It was confirmed that the destroyed convoy belonged to Ukraine's 25th Air Assault Brigade, considered one of the most elite units on the Kherson front. Military experts state that this loss has caused not only material damage, but also a severe morale drain on the Ukrainian army. An examination of the technical details of the operation reveals the effectiveness of Russia's recently developed integrated fire support system. The system provides full automation of the intelligence gathering, target acquisition, aiming, and strike stages. During the operation, Orlan-10 UAVs not only conducted reconnaissance missions but also provided laser guidance for artillery fire and conducted damage assessment after missile attacks. Lancet-type kamikaze UAVs, on the other hand, were deployed where conventional artillery systems were inadequate, neutralizing moving targets. According to reports from the front lines, Ukrainian forces were forced to completely revise their tactical operational plans in the region following the operation. Traffic density at other crossings of the Dnieper River decreased, and Ukrainian units shifted their supply routes to longer, more circuitous routes. While Ukraine's capacity to deploy troops along the front lines has been significantly weakened, Russia has gained additional time to gather intelligence and develop new tactics. Following the success of the operation, the Russian Ministry of Defense began implementing similar tactics on other front lines. Successful operations targeting enemy supply lines using similar drone artillery coordination were conducted in the Lyman, Donetsk, and Zaporizhzhia regions. On the Zaporizhzhia front, in particular, a convoy belonging to Ukraine's 47th Mechanized Brigade was reportedly destroyed by Russian Air Force Su-34 fighter jets using a similar tactic.
Наблюдал.
American defense circles state that Russia has developed the fire pocket tactic and adapted it to the requirements of modern warfare, and that this tactic should now be studied in Western military doctrines. The psychological warfare aspect of the operation is at least as important as its military aspect. The Russian Ministry of Defense's release of operational footage has demoralized the Ukrainian side while boosting motivation among the Russian public and military circles. The importance of similar operations is increasing in Russia's military restructuring process. Integrating traditional artillery units with modern UAV systems is one of the most important pillars of the Russian Army's transformation process. Ministry of Defense officials announced that new systems will be commissioned in the coming months to further enhance this integration. In particular, the artificial intelligence-based command and control system called Okhotnik is planned to be deployed in all frontline units next year. The supply chain developed by Russia to sustain high-precision operations possesses the speed and flexibility required by modern warfare. Mobile ammunition depots positioned 100 to 150 kilometers behind the front line ensure uninterrupted firepower for artillery units. Mobile charging and maintenance units developed for UAV batteries enable the maintenance of uninterrupted reconnaissance and surveillance capabilities. On the Ukrainian side, the shockwave created by the operation has led to fundamental changes in military strategy. On the advice of Western advisors, instead of operating in large convoys, a strategy of supplying in small groups at irregular intervals was adopted. The use of electronic warfare systems was increased, aiming to jam the communication signals of Russian UAVs. The economic dimension of the operation cannot be overlooked. The financial value of the destroyed Ukrainian convoy is estimated to exceed $50 million. Considering Ukraine's limited military budget, the losses represent a blow that is difficult to repair. The effectiveness of military assistance provided by the West continues to raise questions. Russia's Dnieper operation demonstrates the criticality of integrating conventional forces with modern technology. It demonstrates that war is not limited to frontline clashes, but must be considered holistically, encompassing intelligence, technology, logistics, and psychological operations. In the coming period, Russia is expected to build on this successful operation and continue to employ similar tactics on other front lines.
Артиллерийская батарея противника. Передаю целеуказания.
Решил огнем реактивной батареи подавить.
The Ukrainian side, however, appears to be struggling to develop effective countermeasures against this new threat. Military experts believe that Russia could use its technological superiority as preparation for large-scale offensive operations expected to be planned for next spring. In conclusion, the military capacity demonstrated by the operation at the Dnieper Bridge portends developments that will have an impact not only on the Ukrainian front, but also on the international security architecture. Recent developments on the front line seem to facilitate the course of the offensive. An anti-tank missile, ATM, belonging to the 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, was hit by a FAB-3000 missile near the settlement of Konstantinovka. An anti-tank missile, ATM, belonging to the 57th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, was hit by a Kh-38 missile near the settlement of Seversk. The Russian Air Force carried out a precision strike with 4 UMPKPD missiles equipped with FAB-500 anti-tank missiles on an area where troops of the 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine were concentrated in the village of Kucherovka. The Far Eastern Express continues to liberate settlements in the Zaporizhzhia region. Vostok troops liberated the village of Krasnogorskoye and cleared the area up to the Yancha River. Although the resistance of Ukrainian soldiers on the front line continues, they continue to suffer heavy losses.